Hi, I'm Lucy Twomey. I'm a member of the HR and legal team at EEF, the manufacturers organisation. Now that we're on the other side of the 4th April deadline for the first year of gender pay reporting, I think there are a number of lessons that have been learnt by employers having gone through the process. Perhaps one of the most obvious and significant lessons has been not leaving everything till the last minute. We saw a bulk of reports appear on the government website just in the last couple of months before the deadline crunched. Judging by the conversations that I've had with some employers, I think there's a really strong commitment for year 2, not leaving it to the very last minute to start producing their gender pay report. Gender pay gap reporting was much more difficult than anticipated for many employers. There are a number of reasons for this. Firstly, I think there was a false sense of security because the formulas for carrying out these calculations were really quite straightforward. So at the beginning of the year, many employers and HR individuals would have looked at the calculations and thought that can be done and completed as a relatively quick exercise. When it came to it, the information gathering to complete the calculations proved very difficult. Payroll is often messy. In addition, in order to produce the calculations, there's a lot of categorisation that needs to be done in relation to the employees that are relevant to the calculations, as well as the different elements of pay and bonus. This also isn't necessarily straightforward and can require quite a lot of head scratching at various times. All of this meant that the process took much longer than expected. Although it's not obligatory, it is advisable for employers to produce an explanatory narrative to explain why there is a pay gap or a bonus gap. This takes time. Often it requires a certain amount of consultation with communications and potentially legal advisors. Along with the calculations, there are 6 cuts of calculation that need to be done for gender pay reporting. A narrative as well, it all adds up. Much is written about the methods to improve an employer's gender pay reporting figures. However, I think it's important to recognise that the figures for next year's gender pay report have essentially been crystallised in the payroll of April 2018, the one we've just had. That can't be changed now. Nevertheless, it is still important to focus on the longer term goals of improving the future years of gender pay report figures, and that shouldn't be underestimated. The benefit of carrying out the gender pay gap calculations now, even though the deadline is a year away, is that it will give employers plenty of time to prepare an explanatory narrative, to look at their external and internal communications regarding their figures. This will be particularly important if the figures, for whatever reason, haven't improved. The Gender Equalities Office, or GEO as we call it, has published a list of recommendations for employers on measures that they might adopt to improve their gender pay reporting figures in future years. These are things like recruitment measures to attract more women into various types of roles, more flexibility to retain more women in various roles. Now, whilst all of these are commendable, they aren't going to make a difference overnight. So some of the practical measures that employers can take to make the gender pay reporting process far less painful next year are, firstly, tidying up payroll, making sure that categorisation of employees and different elements of pay or bonus are clear and have been recorded so that they're consistent in their calculations and methodology when they move forward through the different years of pay reporting. It's also really important not to overpromise and underdeliver. Whilst many employers have great intentions and good strategies that they want to put in place, they need to be really careful at the messages and promises that they make in a narrative to make sure that they're not holding themselves up, ready to get knocked down by industry or wider media if they can't quite meet those expectations. For more information on gender pay for HR, please visit eef.org.uk